Good morning, sir. My name is Bhargavi. I'm from second EC department, and here my topic in ADC is delta modulation and its principles, advantages, and disadvantages. And the topic is delta modulation, principal advantages and disadvantages. First of all, let me introduce to delta modulation, sir. Delta modulation is a method of encoding analog signal into a digital form. It simplifies the process of signal encoding by using one bit output. The technique is widely used in applications such as speech encoding and digital communication. Principle of delta modulation. The delta modulation process involves sampling the output input at regular intervals. Each sample is compared to previous sample to determine if it is higher or lower. The output is series of bits indicating whether the signal increased or decreased. How delta modulation work? Delta modulation employs a signal feedback loop to track signal changes. The quantization step size can be adjusted to manage the trade-off between quality and data rate. Each bit in the output corresponds to a step in quantizer signal, either up or down. Here graph shows AF signal and after sampling clock and delta modulation output and demodulation output. Advantages of delta modulation. Delta modulation has a lower complexity compared to other modulation schemes. It requires less bandwidth, making it efficient for certain applications. The simplicity of the encoding and decoding process leads to reduced cost in implementation. These are the advantages of delta modulation. Low bit rate. Here delta modulation can achieve a lower bit rate than pulse code modulation PCM. This characteristics is particularly advantageous in bandwidth limited communication. By transmitting less data, delta modulation can enhance storage and transmission efficiency. Here, the block diagram of delta modulation consists of a comparator, delay unit, and staircase maker. When we send analog signal to comparator, it gives a digital data as a part of uh, zeros and ones and binary collection, and it takes feedback to staircase maker and it goes to delay unit, and then it will modulated by the comparator. Reduce the distortion. The feedback mechanism in delta modulation helps to minimize quantization errors. It can adaptively track slow changes in the signal, reducing distortion in certain scenarios. This property makes delta modulation suitable for application like voice transmission. These are the reduced distortions of a delta modulation. Disadvantages of a delta modulation. Delta modulation is susceptible to slope overload distortion in rapidly changing signals. It can result in a staircase approximation leading to loss of signal fidelity. The choice of step size affects performances and improper settings can lead to poor result. Here the frequency there are taken two frequencies FC1 and FC2. FC1 has 5 kilohertz and FC2 has 88 kilohertz. Here the bandwidth calculation upper cutoff frequency minus lower cutoff frequency. The formula of bandwidth is upper cutoff frequency minus lower cutoff frequency. Here when we calculate bandwidth for two frequencies, that is 88 kilohertz and limited dynamic range. Delta modulation has a restricted dynamic range which can limit its effectiveness. It may not perform well with signals that have high frequency or rapid changes. These limitations necessitates careful application selection to ensure adequate performances. Applications of delta modulation. Delta modulation is commonly used in a voice encoding or digital telephony. It is also found in low bandwidth communication systems such as telemetry. Other applications include audio compression and simple control system. Conclusion. Delta modulation offers a unique approach to approach analog digital conversion. While it has a notable advantages such as simplicity and reduced bitrate, it has a significant limitation. Understanding these factors is crucial for selecting delta modulation appropriate applications. Thank you for listening my presentations. Thank you.